MVP, MVP, MVP. Certainly the chant going around Lincoln Financial Field last night as the Eagles defeat the Redskins and win the season series, sweep the season series, I should say, with Washington 2 out of 2. And over the years, certainly in recent years, the Redskins have been a real bugaboo team for the Eagles going into this season. Of course, the Redskins won 5 straight, and it's nice to not only beat them but sweep them because we certainly owed them after the past few years, and it was a great win. Unfortunately, in this game there's going to be injuries. And last year the Eagles were pretty fortunate; they didn't suffer a whole lot of big time injuries. But this year it's been a different year, kind of like me and Madden with all the with all the injuries. And speedy recoveries to Jordan Hicks and Jason Peters, two leaders. Two tremendous players. Obviously, Peters one of the captains of the team, and he's going to be missed. He's definitely one of the best left tackles in the game, future Hall of Famer. Probably will go in as an Eagle, when that time comes. And I hope it's not the last that we've seen of Peters. Obviously, he's a veteran. I think he was having a really good year, and he came into camp late, and there was a lot of talk about it, and what's he going to be like, and he was dominant. I mean, this year he was really off to a dominant start, and he was one of the real leaders on the offensive line and on the team. And he's definitely going to be missed. Now, who takes over his role there? Are they going to move Lane Johnson from right to left, or are they going to go with Vaitai? My guess is, for this week at least, they'll probably start with Vaitai. Probably keep Lane Johnson on the right. Vaitai, I know he's been... The last time he had to come in there last year against the Redskins, it didn't go very well when he made his first start. But he's played well the rest of the season. I know it's been a bit of a mixed bag for him this year, but I think that they trust him to be the left tackle. And obviously, if it doesn't work out, you can switch and put Lane Johnson there. Look, it's going to hurt. I mean, these injuries... The good thing is they're off to a 6-1 start, and that's a great thing. But obviously, with these injuries keep mounting up, right? And I know in the NFL it's all about the next man up philosophy, and there are teams that just do it, but it's tough, And when you lose your starting left tackle and you lose your starting middle linebacker who wears the mic on the helmet, basically the signal caller, I should say, for the defense. It's tough, and I know Jordan Hicks has had a history of injuries. Unfortunately, he's a talented middle linebacker. He's a playmaker. He gets turnovers, and he's definitely going to be missed. I think the one thing going for the Eagles' favor there is he has been hurt, a few times already this season. The linebackers, again, it's just someone's got to step into that role. Maybe it's Michael Kendricks. He didn't play last night with a groin injury he suffered in warm-ups. But maybe it is the Angry Bird, to come in and take over that middle linebacker spot. I kind of like him on the outside a little better, but we'll see if it's Najee Good, that plays the middle linebacker role. We're just going to have to wait and see. That's really up to Jim Schwartz and the coaching staff. Whoever they feel most confident can be that role. That's what they're going to have to do. It's disappointing. Obviously, when you get off to a 6-1 start, we're all flying high. We're all happy about it. But injuries are going to be part of the game, and if you're not careful, injuries could certainly derail a season. You see what's going on in Green Bay now without Aaron Rodgers. So I'm thrilled that the Eagles got off to a 6-1 start. This is so much better a start than we've had, particularly in recent years. I know last year they got off to a 3-0 start, and then the wheels kind of fell off there. And it's been tremendous. You really can't say enough about what this team's done. They've already overcame a good deal of injuries, and they're still 6-1. It's amazing, but you don't want to have to go to the well too often. And the injuries are certainly piling up now. The good news is it looks like Ronald Darby might be back. Maybe even this. I would imagine he'll probably come back in the Denver game if I were to take a guess. I know he was questionable this week, but it's a short week, and he still needs some reps, I think, in practice just to get back into the flow of things. And let's be honest, the secondary's played pretty well. Guys have stepped up. And the secondary that was a real Achilles heel for this team for a number of years has seemed to be one of their strengths. Obviously, great safety play and Malcolm Jenkins and Rodney McLeod. Obviously, the cornerbacks have been a little better. Mills in his second year, they've gotten really good play out of Robinson. They haven't been a problem. And in recent years, the secondary, particularly the cornerbacks, have been a problem. Well, you can't really say that this year. They've been pretty solid. And they are, of course, this whole defense is, and you saw it again last night, the beneficiary of an absolutely dominant defensive line. And they really talked a lot about it last night in the telecast. Gruden was going off and on one of his, tangents and deals about different teams. Usually it's the quarterback, but last night he was going on and on about the defensive line, and it was true. I mean, this defensive line, one of the things that makes them so good is they have so much depth. They can bring in different guys. Guys, can play a certain amount of plays, and they're out, the next unit comes in, and they do just as good. It is one of the best defensive lines in the league because of their depth. Now, obviously, you have to stay healthy. We already lost Cox there for a little bit. But for the most part, they haven't missed a beat. They've been consistently good. It's a great all season. They absolutely wreak havoc. Number one against the run. They get their sacks. They get their pressures. They get their hurries. And what does that do? That leads to turnovers. You saw it again last night. And, I mean, they were absolutely getting at it. And look, the Redskins' offensive line were suffering some injuries, too, last night. It was not a good night for injuries. There was a lot of players that were getting hurt on both sides of the ball, or both sides of, both teams. And, it was one of those games. And, but the defensive line, I mean, you talk about getting at it. And what they did to that Redskins offensive line, which is a pretty good offensive line, what do they call them, the Hogs 2.0 or something like that. And they have some real anchors on that offensive line. And the Redskins have had 2 games this year in which they've given up a decent amount of sacks and pressure and whatnot against, with Kirk Cousins. And both games have been the Eagles. The start of the season and then last night. They have not looked good against this defensive front. And I said it before the start of the season. I said one of the key pickups of this team could be Timmy Jernigan. And he's really, helped solidify and anchor that defensive line in the middle next to Fletcher Cox. Obviously, they lost a good player in free agency in Benny Logan. And I think if you're going to replace Benny Logan with anyone, what more perfect player to replace him with than Timmy Jernigan, who's done an absolutely tremendous job. And I said before the season, at the end of the year, if this team does win the division and go on a bit of a run in the playoffs, Timmy Jernigan can be one of those guys that, some people are going to say, boy, one of those kind of under-the-radar pickups that the team makes. And you see it all the time, don't you? Teams that have success, they make a move that might not make the top headlines, but those are the type of moves that you have to make to be successful, and that's where Howie Roseman earned his money. Not all the moves are going to be glitz and glamour. Not all the moves are going to be the Alshon Jeffrey type moves. You gotta get what I call glue guys on your team. Guys that are going to solidify the positions. Guys that are going to help bring depth and, a certain type of play, to that position. Guys who fit the system. And Timmy Jernigan certainly, fits this system. He looks great in his defense. It looks like he's been here forever playing in this defense, and he's been a very, very solid pickup, for this team. And there's been a few of them. There's been, guys again under the radar. I mean, Robinson at cornerback. Guys just have come in and have instantly helped this team to get to a 6-1 start. This, you don't get off to a 6-1 start without everyone playing their role. And even when guys get hurt, even when there's inconsistency, little lulls, if you will, it's about the guys that are going to consistently play. They're going to consistently buy into the system, not hang the heads, not say, "Oh, woe is us, now our season's over." It's about stepping up and still making plays, and that's what this team has done. They've been resilient, and their resiliency is going to be tested, obviously, now without Peters and Hicks to add to the injury report. But they have done it all season, and a couple of the big reasons for this has been the defensive line, the way the defense is played as a whole, and, of course, the quarterback, Carson Wentz. And you also talk about coaching, and look, as with anything else, it's about learning. And last season was Doug Peterson's first season, and this season obviously is his second season. And he still has things to learn, but he's made a lot of adjustments, right? He's running the ball more now, taking some of that pressure off Carson Wentz. We all know Carson wants to throw the ball the whole game. Every quarterback does. But you need to establish a running game to get that balance on an offense. All these great offenses you see throughout the league, they have balance. They pass the ball, of course, and they're efficient at that, but they can run the ball too and chew up the clock. And one of the things that this team has done this year is they're number one on third down percentages, and you saw that again last night. I think Doug Peterson has done a good job making some adjustments. Are there things he needs to learn and get better at? Sure. But he's only in his second year as a head coach in this league. The players play for him. They listen to him. And the message just gets through to them. And I said this after the season last year. And I know there was a lot of questions still after last season. Is Peterson the right guy or not? Well, I kind of looked at how they finished the season, how they played in December. It was a lost season. And, after that horrible game against the Bengals, the season was over. It was done. I mean, they weren't going to make the playoffs. They didn't have anything to play for besides pride. And guys, obviously the younger guys, to keep establishing themselves in the league. And the last 3 games of the season last year, they lost to the Ravens where they came from behind late. Could have tied it. But instead of going for the extra point, they went for 2. And I was happy with that. Because you go for the win. You're on the road. No one expected you to win that game anyhow. And not only are you in the game, you have a chance to win it with a 2-point conversion. And yeah, you didn't get it. But you know what? That shows a winner's mentality right there. It's like, you know what? We're not going to take this thing to overtime. We're going to go for the win. Winners go for the win. And even though they lost that game, they showed me something in there. And then the next 2 weeks, they won a game on a Thursday night against the Giants. And a game that didn't mean anything to the Eagles. It meant a whole lot to the Giants that still had an outside shot of winning the division because they swept Dallas last year. And the Eagles won that game. And then they won the last game of the season, which of course was the backup bowl for Dallas. But the fact is, the Eagles still played. They played hard. They earned a win. The fact that they won the last 2 games of the season, and if they would have converted the 2-pointer in Baltimore, they would have won their last 3 games of the season after that horrible game against the Bengals. And that showed me that this team is playing for this coach. And I know it's a 7-9 season, and it's a losing year, and it got off to such a great start and everything. The Lane Johnson suspension came in, the inconsistencies and everything started to happen. And I get it. It was a disappointing, how from where we started to where we finished. But I liked how this team played in December last year. I liked how this team rebounded and played after that game against Cincinnati. And the way I see them play now, this year, playing for the coach and buying into the system and, just playing as a team, having each other's back, that says a lot about the coaching staff, and that says a lot about the players. And to me, it's not a huge surprise because of just how they finished the year last year. And they upgraded in some positions this year. They did. But they played hard to finish the season last year, and that's how they're playing right now. And they've earned their 6-1 start. And we talk about the quarterback and what he means for the franchise and what he means for this fan base and what he means for the future of the franchise. We're seeing a guy. Listen, Carson Wentz is a special quarterback, and I'm an Eagles fan, and I've watched this team for many years, and I've been through bad quarterbacks over the years. But you can always tell when someone has that it factor. When a quarterback comes in, he has all the intangibles, and he makes the plays. And, he's confident in himself. And you know what? He's a student of the game. He studies the game. He's kind of Peyton Manning-ish in that regard, where it's all about football and trying to get better. And okay, this play didn't work. Let's try. How can this play work? Why didn't this play? He's very kind of strategical in that regard. He's always on the sidelines looking at the film and everything. And I know last year I heard it from two people who were both big Tom Brady fans. And look, Tom Brady's the GOAT. Okay, Tom Brady, 20 years from now, is probably still going to be regarded as the greatest quarterback, right? I know some 49er Joe Montana fans might not agree. But, and I get it. I absolutely get it. My all-time favorite athlete, my all-time favorite basketball player is Michael Jordan. So I'm in the Michael Jordan camp, where LeBron will never be as good as Michael Jordan. No matter what. And I get it. It's two different eras. It's the game is different. The teams are different. They're not joining. They weren't joining forces back then as they are now. It's just a whole different dynamic, and I get that. But Jordan was 6 for 6 in finals. He was a closer. LeBron. I'm not a LeBron hater, but I'm just saying the finals record. Again, different eras, different teams. I completely get that. But to me, and people can say, well, LeBron was better at assisting, and he's a better rebounder, and blah blah blah. Well, he's bigger than Jordan. He's got the bulk, he's got the height. So it is what it is. But to me, Jordan will always be number one. But to the younger people, it's LeBron, and hey, that's their guy. I don't fault them for it. They didn't grow up with Jordan like I did. So I totally get the Tom Brady people who it's all about Tom Brady and there can never be anyone else. I totally get that. And I'm not saying Carson Wentz is going to be the next Tom Brady. Believe me. For one thing, they have completely two different styles. That play that Carson made yesterday when it was 3rd down and long and he went into a pile and he comes out running for a first down, you're not going to see Brady do that. As great as he is. Brady isn't doing that. So, look, Wentz has a whole different skill set than Brady, and Brady has a whole different skill set than Wentz. There really isn't any comparisons there. And I know people talk about, Wentz to Ben Roethlisberger, and maybe there's some comparisons there. Or, Wentz like an Aaron Rodgers type, just mobile and can throw and maybe. But to me, Carson Wentz is the next Carson Wentz. When you've watched this game for the years, and not just Eagles games, but the rest of the league, and you see these teams and you see these quarterbacks come in, and you can tell within a few years the good ones that are good, the good ones that are going to be great, right? And I'm on the school of thought that I don't care where you went to college. If you can play, you can play. We've seen so many great players, not all necessarily Hall of Famers, but we've seen so many great players come into this league and play at a high level in this league, coming from small schools. And you look at all of those players, all of those Heisman winners, all those number 1 overall picks, all those guys that played in the big schools and the big, the BCS type programs that are busts in this league. And there's some successes, obviously. Look, Brady went to Michigan. We know this, right? Aaron Rodgers went to Cal. So bigger programs than what Carson did. But when the guy's a winner, you're a winner. And Carson Wentz put North Dakota State on the map. To the fact that ESPN would go there for college game days on Sundays once a season. He's a winner. And, God bless the Cleveland Browns. Scouts who pretty much told the Browns, I don't know about this guy. And allowed the Eagles to kind of move up to get that second pick, the second overall pick, in last season's draft to get Wentz. Because the Eagles saw that in Wentz. The Eagles brass and the Eagles scouts saw that in Carson Wentz. What the Browns didn't see, and I guess they don't see a lot of things, but what the Browns, by the way, I don't think they're employed now, the Brown Scouts. What the Brown Scouts failed to see, what the Eagles Scouts did was the intangibles. And it doesn't matter if you play at a big school or you play at a smaller school or a smaller program. If you're a winner, you're a winner. If you have those tools that can grow and develop even further in the NFL, that's what's going to make you a great player. And also, if you have what's in here, to be a great player, that's going to make you a great player. You need talent, you need skill, but you need a good head on your shoulders, and you need a good ticker. And those are the things that Carson Wentz has. And for anyone to say otherwise, I don't know what you're looking at. I really don't. The guy went 3-0 to start his career last year. I know it didn't go the greatest after that. He was a rookie, he's learning. Still goes 7-9 in his rookie year. And now this year he's 6-1. Best record in the league. If the season ended today, he would be the league MVP. And all those people have said, oh, you only have to go to big schools to be a good NFL quarterback, to be a good NFL player. Because I heard it last year. I heard it from two guys. One guy who was at work, who's a big Tom Brady fan, who said Carson Wentz, he went to this small school, he'll never be any good. He'll never be any good. And he comes in another day wearing his Brady shirt. Right? And another, buddy of mine, Peter Tom Willis, who we were having a back and forth argument on Facebook Messenger last year about this, because I get it. The people like the Brady fans, the Rodgers fans, the whatever, that's their guy. And when someone else comes in and starts getting some shine, they're going to get all defensive on it. Oh, why are they talking about this guy? What's he done? He doesn't have any rings on his fingers. What has he done in this league? He hasn't done this. He hasn't done that. He's a rookie. He's just now a second-year player. You got to give him time. I remember when Aaron Rodgers came in the league. Aaron Rodgers didn't become Aaron Rodgers. He didn't become the assassin until he played in the league for a few years. But you saw that in him. You saw that he could be a great quarterback. Tom Brady, again, beneficiary of an injury, comes in, and the rest is history. But the guy has the intangibles. The guy could play. If you can play, you can play. And Carson Wentz is proving it time and time again that he belongs in this league and he can play in this league at a very high level. And oh, by the way, it's only going to get better because he's still learning. Is he still making mistakes? Yeah, he still holds onto the ball too long sometimes. Maybe his deep ball isn't the greatest, although it's getting better as the season progresses, right? Nice touch on that touchdown pass to Hollins yesterday. And then it just turned the game on it like that on a dime. And by the way, the other thing that the greats do is they finish off their opponents. When they have an opponent down, they keep them down. They get them around the throat and they squeeze. That's what the greats always find a way to do. In the regular season, and particularly in the postseason, what we've seen so far this season, and at times last season, is Carson Wentz has that ability. He can take over a game. He took over that game last night against the Redskins defense and had no answers. He read everything the Redskins defense was trying to do, and he picked them apart surgically at times. And yeah, he made plays with his feet, but that's what he does. He's a mobile quarterback. Is he Mike Vick out there? No. Is he Donovan McNabb? No. But I'll tell you what, he's mobile, and he's tough. He's a hard guy to bring down. He tries to keep plays alive. That play again yesterday, he goes into a pile, He comes out the other side, look like a cartoon. He comes out the other side running for a first down. Intangibles. A winner does that. A leader does that. I don't want to see him take on too many defenders with his shoulder, particularly his throwing shoulder. But when he took on that Carolina defender last week, and yeah, it wasn't a bright thing to do, but it shows toughness. It shows the guy wants to win. He will do whatever it takes to win games, and you gotta respect that. You want to be careful, but you do gotta respect that about the guy. And that he is a winner. And he keeps getting better. The more he's in this league, the more, games and seasons that go through, he's going to be one of the next tier of great quarterbacks in this league. There's no doubt about that. He's going to be, he's part of that next tier of great quarterbacks coming into this league that's going to have a lot of success. We all hope for Super Bowls around here. A Super Bowl would be nice. That's the ultimate goal, right? Well, this team is on the right track. They are absolutely on the right path to get that ultimate goal. And Carson Wentz is one of the big reasons why. He's one of the big reasons why. And I can definitely see this guy winning a Super Bowl championship and holding up that Lombardi trophy and being game MVP. Maybe multiple times. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Let's get one first. But the fact of what he's done, and it's not just that. It's not just all that other stuff. Part of the intangibles is you make the players around you better. He wasn't making excuses last year when he had the receiving core that dropped more passes than anyone in any other receiving core in the league last season. Where Nelson Aguilar looked like he didn't. Talk about guys that looked like they didn't belong. And oh, by the way, Nelson Aguilar played at USC. That's a pretty big program, isn't it? Last year, it looked like he didn't belong. He was afraid of his own shadow last year. Well, what did Carson do? Did he say, I can't play with you, the heck with you? No. Invited him with the rest of the receivers this offseason to go to North Dakota and to practice and to get more familiar with one another, to be on the same page. That's what leaders do. That's what winners do. Make players around them better. Nelson Aguilar, and the receiver coach certainly has helped. And Nelson Aguilar has certainly helped because the light bulb has gone off. Yes, him in the slot, which is his natural position, has helped as well. But Carson Wentz belief in him and keep letting him make plays. The only thing I needed to see this season is there was a play a few weeks ago, I think it was the Arizona game, if I'm not mistaken, where Carson threw a pass to Aguilar, and Aguilar did what he did quite often last year, dropped the ball. Probably an easy catch to make. He drops it. What happens the very next play? Carson goes right back to him, believing in him, and he made the play, the next one. That goes a long way. It's such a small thing, but it goes a long way. When the receiving core knows that they have the belief of their quarterback and he's got their back, that goes a long way in this league. A long way. Again, playing for one another. Having each other's back. That's what this team does. That's one of the big reasons why they're 6-1. Yeah, talent. They've gotten some lucky bounces here and there. A 61-yard field goal to win a game, right? But they believe in one another. They believe that they can win these games. That no one's going to stop them. Injuries aren't going to stop them. Other players aren't going to stop them. They're better. They have that belief. And it's hard to shake. And oh, by the way, the quarterback is playing lights out. Lights out football right now. Another 4 touchdowns last night. He's made Nelson Aguilar better. And you don't think it's any surprise, that Zach Ertz is one of the top tight ends in the league right now when you have Carson throwing him the ball. All the receivers and tight ends have said, this guy throws a great ball. Puts it right where it has to go. It's not a little thing that Zach Ertz is one of the top tight ends in the league right now. And oh, by the way, this is one of the best offenses in the red zone. And what's another thing? What's another intangible that makes the great ones great at the quarterback position. They finish drives with touchdowns. You're not going to score a touchdown on every drive, but the majority of your drives during a game that's in the red zone that you can end in 6, and then extra point 7. That's what makes the greats great. When you're in the red zone and you don't settle for field goals and you're scoring touchdowns, to absolutely turn a game around, to take over a game, to impose your will on the opposing defenses, to break their back, when you can score touchdowns in the red zone more times than settling for field goals, that's what makes the greats great. That's what does it. Because, yeah, you can throw the bomb, you can have the big touchdowns, but when you're in the red zone and things tighten up a bit, you tighten up defensively, if you're still throwing touchdown passes, and not selling for field goals most of those times, that's what makes the greats great. You see Brady do it all the time, don't you, Rodgers? How many times do you see the Packers kicking field goals when they're in the red zone, right? When Rodgers is on his game, which is just about every game, right? When you see these guys finish drives with touchdowns, this is one of the highest scoring red zone offenses in the league. Number 1 on third down conversions. One of the top teams, if not the top team in the league right now in time of possession. Philadelphia Eagles. And a big reason for that, and maybe the biggest reason, if not the biggest reason for that, is number 11, Carson Wentz, out of North Dakota State. Yeah, guys always have to go to big schools to be successful in the NFL. That they always have to. No one from smaller schools ever have any success. Kurt Warner, Steve McNair, just to name a few, and now Carson Wentz. If you can play, you can play. Like one of the greatest receivers, if not the GOAT to me, in wide receivers, Jerry Rice, Mississippi Valley State. Small school. If you can play, you can play. If you have it here, you have it here, you have the talent, you can play. And it doesn't matter where you went to school, what conference you played in, this, that, and the other thing. If you can play and you belong in this league, you can play and you can belong in this league. Players who even didn't make it to the Hall of Fame but had long, terrific careers, players who ended their career with a bust in Canton, came from small schools too, not just the big ones. The big ones get all the talk. The big ones get all the, the big schools get all the glory and all the talk. But if you can play, and you belong. And Carson Wentz belongs. And Carson Wentz is going to be one of the next great ones in this game. For all those fans of the opposing teams that are sitting there watching these games on primetime television, watching him throw 4 touchdown passes, watching him go into a pile and come out running for a first down saying, "Who is that guy?" That's Carson Wentz. And you ain't seen nothing yet. He's only going to get better. And it feels great. Because us as a fan base, we've had to go through some tough times. We've had to suffer a lot. So now to have this, it feels terrific. And there's no guarantee. I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you what's going to happen at the end of this season or what's going to happen all the next seasons. But I can tell you by feel and by the eyeball test what I feel is going to happen. And what I feel is going to happen at the end of this season, going forward into the next how many seasons, the next decade. We're going to have a quarterback here that we're going to enjoy watching for quite a number of years. Health has to play a role, consistency, but this guy is the real deal, and he's ours. He's ours. We got one. And as an Eagles fan, I implore the rest of you to just enjoy this. Enjoy this ride. Because that's what this is about. That's what being a fan of a team is about. Sure, you got to be there for the bad years. You got to put up with a lot of crap. But when you have seasons where you can go on a ride, just enjoy it. When you have a quarterback that's going to play at this level and just going to get better every year, just enjoy it. Embrace it. Because it doesn't always happen. It's hard in this league to find that next quarterback. There are teams that still can't find it, Cleveland. The Jets, right? Some franchises, if they have one great quarterback in their whole history, they feel lucky. And some of those franchises with that one great quarterback still, have the statue of them in front of the stadium and everything, right? So when you have it, you got to embrace it. And being a fan of this franchise and going through all those years, the Chip Kelly years, and those other years, before, and whatever, all that just agita, and just all of that, just, oh my God, that, this is like our reward now. To have a guy that we're going to enjoy watch, to have a team that we're going to enjoy watch for a number of years. This isn't just a one-year deal here. This is going to be going on for the next few years, and I know they have to still. Hey, look, this offseason they have decisions to make, guys on one-year deals and everything. We'll worry about that in the offseason, but they got the quarterback, and I believe they got the coach. And when you got the coach and you got the quarterback and you got the defense, you're going to go a long way. The last time that this franchise had the coach, had the quarterback, and had the defense, they went to how many NFC championships, right? 4 in a row. They won the one. They went to the Super Bowl, lost to the Patriots. But they gave us great years. Tremendous years. So when you have the coach, the quarterback, and the defense, you can go places in this league. There's a lot of parity in this league. There's a lot of teams that wish they had it. They wish they had half of it. So let's just embrace this. Let's not rush through the season here and say, who do we want to play in the playoffs? What do we want to do? Just embrace this season. Just embrace how they're playing and enjoy it. 1 week at a time. Injuries play a role. So let's not get too ahead of ourselves. But let's just enjoy the ride, because that's what being a fan is about. You got to enjoy the ride when things are going good. As much as we agonize over it when things are not, let's make sure we enjoy it now when things are going good. They're 6-1, best record in the league. Looks like they have one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. And certainly the future looks very bright with number 11 at quarterback here. And again, tip of the hat to the Eagles brass and to the Eagles scouts who saw that in Carson Wentz and wanted to go up to pick number 2 to bring him here. So, great game, great win last night, 34-24 against the Redskins. They sweep the Redskins. They get a little closer to that stranglehold in the NFC East. I know there's still games to play. Look, it's not over yet. They're not handing out hats and T-shirts just yet, so let's just, all right? But we got 2 more home games before the bye. We got the 49ers this week, and then we got Denver next week, and then after the bye, you know where we're going to visit. We get to play at Dallas on another primetime game, but 2 games before that in the bye, and it's week to week, enjoy it. Let's take on those 49ers this week. Let's get another win. Let's get to 7-1. My God. Who would have thought that, right? 6-1, a chance at 7-1. And as always, let's go Birds. I'll see you all around the channel. All right, everyone. Take care.